If you are thinking about moving to Southeast Florida from the Midwest, there is one question I can almost guarantee you've asked yourself. What about hurricanes? Or maybe you weren't worried, but then somebody else brought it up. A friend, family, a coworker, someone who said, "Are you really moving to Florida? Aren't you concerned about hurricanes?" And after hearing that enough times, it's very normal to begin wondering if your plan to move here is actually a mistake. The truth is, hurricanes are absolutely something you need to respect. But the reality of actually living through hurricane season in Southeast Florida is probably very different from what you're imagining. So today, let's separate what you're seeing on the news from what the actual experience is like. If you've spent your life in the Midwest, hurricanes are unfamiliar. You understand snowstorms. When they're coming, you go to the store, give what you need, and you hunker down. You understand tornado season. For many of us, when a tornado warning comes, we go outside to see if we can see it. Hurricanes are different though, and when something is unfamiliar, it's easy for our minds to jump to worst-case scenarios. In fact, when most people hear hurricanes, they think of neighborhoods underwater, people standing on roofs with rescue boats coming to get them, homes being washed away, complete devastation. And those events definitely happen. But those are the stories that make national news because they're extreme. The news doesn't spend much time showing the thousands of neighborhoods where people may lose power for a couple days, spend some time cleaning up branches, and then returning back to normal life within a few days. And that's why it's important to understand the actual risks in the place that you're moving. Here's something most people are unaware of. Not all of Florida experiences hurricanes in the same way. It's not just the size and intensity of the storm that impacts how people experience it. It's also the local geography. Many of the devastating images you've seen throughout the years have come from Florida's Gulf Coast, places like Fort Myers, where storm surge is the greatest risk. And storm surge, it's exactly what it sounds like. Ocean water being pushed inland by the storm. And that's what caused so much of the destruction you've seen during hurricanes like Ian along the Gulf Coast. Southeast Florida, on the other hand, has a very different coastline because the floor of the Atlantic Ocean drops off much more quickly just offshore. This means our area is generally less vulnerable to catastrophic storm surge than the communities along the Gulf Coast. Now that doesn't mean storm surges can't happen here, especially if you live along the coast or on one of the barrier islands. But for homeowners living inland a few miles, especially in Palm Beach and Broward counties, the primary concerns are going to be strong winds, heavy rain, and power outages. Those are real risks and they're worth preparing for, but they're very different than the images many people have when they think of hurricanes. Another thing that gives buyers peace of mind is knowing that Florida's building codes have become much stronger since Hurricane Andrew. Many newer homes here are built with stronger roofs with reinforced connections, impact-resistant windows, and hurricane-rated garage doors, all designed to withstand extremely strong winds. That's why the year the home was built is one of the first things buyers are encouraged to look at if they're concerned about hurricane safety. Not every location has the same hurricane risk, and this is probably one of the most important things you'll hear today. Where you buy matters. For example, is the home on the coast or is it inland? These are two very different risk profiles. Second, what is the flood zone? This will give you an indication of how likely it is for your home to flood during the hurricane rains. Third, what's the evacuation zone? Flood zones and evacuation zones are different things, but they both matter. And most people here will not be asked to evacuate except for the most extreme situations. And finally, what county is it in? Homes in Broward and Miami-Dade County sit in much more densely populated areas than those in Palm Beach County. And this can make evacuating, when necessary, more difficult because of the congested highways people take to head north and west. If you are concerned about hurricanes, these are details that you should take into consideration as you look at homes. Another thing that's important to realize is just how much warning you have. Hurricanes are not tornadoes, and meteorologists are usually tracking them for days before they ever reach the coast of Florida. And that gives locals time to plan, prepare, and to evacuate if local officials ask them to. People here usually don't evacuate, especially if the storm is a Category 3 or less. In fact, many inland neighborhoods are encouraged to stay and shelter in place because they lay outside of the more dangerous storm surge zones. Florida's laid-back culture here spills over into how we approach these storms. You know the risk and you prepare early. And the atmosphere here isn't all doom and gloom. Many locals throw something that we call hurricane parties. And it's not because people don't take hurricanes seriously. They absolutely do. It's just because they've been through them before and they know what to expect. When a storm is approaching and all the preparations are finished, most people are out of work and out of school. So families and friends get together, they grill the meat they have in their freezer, and they hang out. This is just a part of the culture here. And when you talk to locals here who have lived here for decades, many of them see most of these storms as more annoying than anything. They'll say to you, there's no sense in worrying about something when you've done the best job you can in preparing for it. And that calm confidence is contagious, and it's reassuring to many people when they move here. Preparing for hurricane season becomes much like preparing for winter and winter storms. And when you've been through it once or twice, it just becomes a part of normal life. If hurricanes are the biggest thing holding you back from making the move to Southeast Florida, I hope this video helps put things into perspective. Hurricanes deserve respect. Preparation matters, buying the right home matters, and choosing the right location matters. But the everyday experience of living in Southeast Florida is often much different than people imagine after watching years of national news coverage. If you are thinking about relocating from the Midwest and you'd like help understanding flood zones, evacuation zones, newer construction, and which communities would be the best fit for you, I'd love to help. Leave your questions in the comments below, and if you're thinking about making the move, feel free to reach out. My contact information is on the screen here and in the description below.